the first thing I just kind of want to ask us before we get into the topic tonight, I'm still admitting people. I just want to cue my screen up, is what are you grateful for? I mean, since you've been taking this class, what are you grateful for? What are some opportunities that have kind of popped up for you since you've been implementing the success principles that you're learning from the class? Let's talk about that a little bit. Would anybody like to unmute and just share for just a minute what you're grateful for? Because we always want to start with gratitude. And what success principles have you been implementing that have opened up some opportunities for you since you've taken the course? Anybody? Nobody?
Okay,
Nobody?
for me,
I'll go, unless Donna, is that Donna?
yeah.
That is
You can go,
Donna.
Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Okay, hi. For me, it's connecting with the new resources that KW has. I was with KW before, left, and came back. But I left before Command and all of this was in place. They were just talking about Kelly at that point, which is now going away.
Right.
So for me, this is great because it's introducing me to all the new tools that we have.
That's amazing. And Donna, what market center are you from, may I ask?
Carroll County Realty Partners.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And right, resources make a difference.
They
What we are blessed to be in an environment of is a real estate company that stays on the cutting edge of the changing times of this business and how technology changes how we are doing business. And my heart goes out, right, to some of our colleagues that are with companies that are still in the dinosaur age doing things where they're going to get lost. And I think some people have retired in the last 2 years that maybe didn't want to, but felt like they had to because they just didn't have the resources to keep up. So thank you for sharing that, Donna. And I concur. Go ahead, Gwen, you wanted to share something. What are you grateful for? And what opportunities have risen up for you since you've been a part of the Ignite After Dark course?
I'm grateful, just like Donna, I'm grateful for all the training opportunities that Keller Williams has provided for its agents. It's overwhelming, but it's great. I love it because I don't feel like I'm lost. And, you know, I need a lot of structure in what I'm doing, and they're providing step-by-step instructions on what you need to do to get your business off the ground. And I love it. It's great. And the opportunities that I've had is referrals. I've been able to refer out business to other agents in New Jersey. And I'm actually working with my coach at my market center. I refer business out to her in Virginia. So we're working on a land deal right now as we speak.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting because it's land. I don't know anything, you know, there's really not a lot of training on land. So I'm learning from her on what I should be doing. So, and also the client is like, is she going to be on the line too? Because she is the one I started talking to. So I'm there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Referrals can get a little challenging to balance because the client feels like they're being passed on. So helping them to understand that I'm pulling in a partner so that you can have the best experience ever. You've got now not one, but 2 realtors. Yes. And it's not costing you anything. So that's great. I hear you saying that the training, right, is your great opportunity. And the great thing also that you're experiencing is being able to generate referral business. And I'm telling you, that's the amazing thing about real estate. Thank you for sharing, Gwen. That's the amazing thing about real estate is there's so many ways that we can build income, right? There are some agents that they're not in production. They simply have built a strong referral based business. And this year, that has really been a strong goal for me. At Family Reunion, I got about 20 new referral partners, too, from a target state that I was eyeing, and that was Hawaii. So the island of Hawaii. So I was really excited about that. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? One more person would like to share what you're grateful for. What opportunities have arisen for you that you're grateful for today? Anyone? Don't be shy. Now, I warned y'all I was a teacher, so you know I'm going to call on people.
I don't have any opportunities as
Okay.
of yet. But I did want to ask if maybe you could share the contact information for those Hawaii agents that you have, because
Absolutely.
I have family in Kona and in Hilo on the Hawaiian island.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I would love to try and get some of their contacts to work with some Keller Williams agents.
Got it. You got it. Let me one of them right actually in my reach. Now this gentleman is in Maui. Wait a minute. Is he in Maui? Hold up. Let Grandma put her glasses on now, honey. Here we go. Okay. I'm just going to send you his information because I think I met one from Honolulu and one from Maui.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and put my email in the chat for you so you can just send it to me
Okay.
that way.
Yep. And he's from Maui. So is that location helpful?
It is very helpful. Any of the islands is helpful.
All right, let me do this now because once I get excited, honey, and get on a roll, I'm going to forget everything I promised you I'd do. So I'm going to put his name and number in the chat. Anybody else want to grab a hold of it? Go right ahead, because you just never know when you're going to have someone say, do you do a business in Hawaii? Okay. And let's see his email. MAUI. All right. There you go. All right, I'll still take your email and let me know how you make out with Randy. The other young lady, fairly new to real estate, so I don't know if you want someone a little bit more seasoned. Randy was definitely on the seasoned side. All right, family, let me just jot down her email address real quick. All right, awesome. Shoot. Okay. So today's focus and goal of our time together is going to be to learn how to present offers when you represent a buyer, and how to respond to offers when you represent a seller. Okay. If we have time, we practice some scripts, but normally there's a lot of information I'm going to give you. I may not get to that part. I'd encourage you to script practice together with the tools that you have or within your market center. So first, I just want to kind of, before I start sharing slides, some things that kind of popped in my mind that weren't really on the teaching materials I saw, but just from my own experience, want to share some tidbits with you that that I have put into place, some systems I've put into place, because for me, my position is that preparing to write the offer starts with when you are preparing to show the property. So I want to go over the process of preparing to show the property first, okay? So we don't want to just willy-nilly book showings without really doing a scrutinization of the property. I know that the market that we are in has put us sometimes in a position where we got to book it today and see it today. And painstakingly enough, sometimes I'm reviewing the property, and an hour before the showing. That's really not my MO. I'd like to review the property the night before, Sometimes it's just coming on the market 9 o'clock in the morning and the client wants to see it at 10. So like I said, things are going to slow down, but the prudency of this business requires us that we kind of know a little bit, familiarize ourselves with the property from the property notes, the agent notes, in the MLS, and also the details, to make sure it is something that the client wants and needs, but then to also make sure that it's in alignment with the guidelines of their loan program. So wherever your location is, maybe you might be in a rural area where you're doing a lot of USDA, have a lot of clients using USDA loans, or, you know, depending on the clientele you service, buyers using FHA loans, or if you work a lot with veterans. Those 3 loan programs do have some specific guidelines around condition, and with USDA, specific guidelines around location. So I'm of the mindset, let's just kind of, before we all start spinning wheels, this is how you not, you know, experience the whole time sucker thing. Before we start spinning wheels, let me just slow the roll, because the clients aren't reading the notes. They're just looking at the pictures. Oh, I want to see this. Oh, I want to see this. Oh, I want to see this. like sitting at a bingo machine. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And then sometimes I'm looking, I'm reading the notes. I'm like, well, it says this in the notes. Did you read that? Do you still want to go see it? That the floor has a hole in it and we need to sign a hold harmless addendum before we go? Do you still want to go see it? They're like, where was that? Oh, I didn't see that. It's right in the public notes. Oh my God. Okay. So making sure that looking through the pictures, that you can tell the property is either VA, FHA, or USDA eligible. And sometimes, folks, the pictures may not show you all of that, and you still may have to say to the client, you know what, I can't tell really by the pictures, because just because it says FHA in the notes, it doesn't mean, I mean, we have to see it. Okay, I have to see, you know, if there's chipping and peeling paint. I can't really tell that in the pictures, right? And some other things, loose rails, just things that we know. Doesn't mean that, right, the house won't go FHA, but it could mean that these are things that we may need to keep in mind as we matriculate through a negotiation process, or just things to know you need to expect. Yeah, thoroughly reading the notes, Candace, absolutely. Just, you know, because again, the clients, I'm finding that they do not do that, okay? So read the notes, public and private, of the listing agent first. They may have some notes around the showing schedule. So here we are popping on showing time and we can't click the button and we're frustrated why it won't let us book the appointment, but the notes say you need 48-hour notice. So saving yourself some frustration there. Right? I've had people send me appointments for houses in areas they never said they wanted. I mean, go back to winning with buyers and doing that buyer consultation. Like, why are we looking for a house in this zip code when you completely told me you don't want to be that far from your job? Has the strategy changed? And that's then we start getting into the conversation of, if the strategy changed, okay, great. Let's get that on paper so I know what direction we're headed, so that our time is useful. Okay. Your payment sensitive buyers, your buyers that maybe, you know, the price point is sensitive due to HOA fees, property taxes. So you want to look at that. I look at the property taxes. I look to see if this condo is in an HOA approved area. I'm sorry, I said that the wrong way. I look to see if the condo is FHA approved, excuse me. Or not. Why would I waste my client's time on 3 showings in 3 neighborhoods where she can't buy the condo because she's using a loan type that's not approved, or the neighborhood's is not approved by FHA. So, you know, I work with a lot of clients who are college students and college graduates, and many of them have high student loan debt. So we're using FHA loans. And so, like, that's my area. Okay. Let's see here. So looking at the listings, to just familiarize yourself, are we using the showing time resources where it maps out where to go first, second, third, based on, you know, kind of location and map? That's really, really useful. If you go to the showing cart on showing time, you put in all the addresses at one time, and then it pops out a nice little agenda for you with, okay, go here first, go here first, go there first, so that we make the trip useful in terms of location and directions. And then I like to call the listing agent. So I'm slipping into this part about preparing to write the offer before you even show the property. In this market, I always call or text the listing agent and I ask these two questions. How many offers do you have in hand? How many do you have coming? I don't ask all the time, do you have any offers in hand or do you have any coming? Because in this market, that's just, a rhetorical question. But I want to know that. Who can tell me why I want to know that information? Why do I want to know that before I even go show the property?
So you know how to advise your client as you're walking through, if they're thinking maybe we can get it for less, or maybe we can ask for a lot of closing help. You'll know how to advise them before they even start looking.
I love it, Donna. That is so, so true. We want to be the advisors and the educators from start to finish and eliminate as many surprises for the client as we can. There are times that there's just going to be surprises that we can't prepare them for, but as much as we can prepare and eliminate things that, we can eliminate beforehand, we want to do that. I want my client to know from the gate that we're in competition. That makes my job a little bit easier because like Donna said, I don't know about y'all. I don't write. I've written 2 offers. Have I written 2 below asking in this market? No, I don't think I have. No, I haven't. I haven't written any offers below asking. Have I? No, I haven't. But in 2 years, in 2 years, 2. Okay, that's on investment properties too. They're in multiple offer situations. Okay, and listen, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not. We talk about setting the boundaries. Now, if it's a client that I feel like I can get to the finish line with, and they just need to learn, by experience, then what I'll do is send a text to the agent, and I'll let the client know, what, just, and what do? I don't just say, no, I'm not doing that. Okay. I want to be clear. I'm saying that to you all, but that's not how I present it. I share with the client the comps. Okay. I share with the client a price analysis grid. If you don't know how to do those, ask your coach or your team leader. But, you share with them data because they're listening to Uncle Billy Bob, who brought a house 10 years ago, and Aunt Lillian, who brought her house 30 years ago and paid it off. Okay. And neither one of those markets are the same as today. And so while you're advising them, those are the folks in their ear when they go back home. And who told them, well, when I brought my house, I brought it for $20,000 less. Your realtor's trying to get higher commission. Now, you might need to get it. No, it's not about the commission. It's about my time. And I want to help you get your house. I'm not helping you get your house and doing you any justice by writing an offer that I know is not going to get accepted. And that's how I put it. I know this is not going to get accepted. You know why? Because I represent sellers too. And when you're writing offers, folks, this is what I share with my clients. You have to get into the head of the seller. You have to shift your mindset and you've got to just be seller for about an hour. And if you were the seller with 7 offers in front of you, and I know for some of you, that's a really low number. I'm in a small market on the Eastern Shore, so 7 offers is a lot. My colleagues over on the other side of the bridge, 26 offers, 32 offers. But when you are sitting and you have all of this menu and this platter of offers in front of you, and they're 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand over the asking price, which one are you going to choose? Are you going to... it kills me when the buyers are like, well, we're going to start here, like they know more than you. I'm going to start here. And then we'll just come back, and negotiate. We're not. You know why we're not? Because it's a multiple offer situation. You got to present your best offer and your highest offer the first time. You will not have an opportunity to renegotiate. Okay. Now, for my clients who are uncomfortable with the risk, I introduce an escalation clause. Say, okay, now I'm getting way ahead of myself. I knew I was going to do that, bad girl, but I introduce an escalation clause. You don't want to go that high? Okay, we will start here, but we're going to start here and escalate all at once. That's your second chance. Okay. There is no other chance after that. So that's what you want to help your clients, is to think like the seller in a seller's market. And I've been in real estate a little bitty 5 years, and it's always been a seller's market since I have been in the business. I saw a question in the chat. Let me take a look. Okay, Mavis wants to know, how do you advise a client who always wants to write a low offer, even if the comps say otherwise? I love this question, Mavis. I'm going to redirect it by asking you a question. How much is your time worth that you, I don't want to say want to, but that you would choose to continue to spend it with someone who is clearly not acknowledging the data and clearly not setting themselves up for success by having you continue to write lower offers that we all know will not get accepted? And that's a tough question, because I can tell you in 5 years, I've only fired one client. I have a heart for people and helping them. And then at some point, I've learned that I have to draw the line. So Mavis, I would say that if you've already tried showing them the price analysis grid, like, okay, I don't know how many offers you've written for this person, but let's just say we're at the third one now, okay? We're at the third one, okay? And we're not getting anywhere. I'm going to have a consultation, okay? If it's a husband, wife, or a two-person thing, because sometimes the one person's willing to take your advice and the other person saying, no, we're not doing that. So I'm like, let's get everybody in the room. Let's regroup. I'm texting, okay, here's a Zoom link. Let's just all regroup. Let's talk about what just happened. Okay, let's reel them back in and get them refocused, because apparently they're listening to information other than yours, and that's making them feel good. The information you're giving them is not. Okay, and so regroup, and I'm like, okay, so how do you feel about what happened with the last 3 offers? Like, what are your thoughts around that and the fact that they didn't get accepted? And I wait for an answer. Well, I'm frustrated. I really wanted that house, but what's meant to be is meant to be. If it's meant for me to have it, I'll have it. You hear things like that instead of acknowledging, right? So if you start getting that, then you know that maybe this is not the right client realtor partnership.
Okay.
Because your time is valuable. But if we're getting, I should have listened to you, I would give them another chance. But then if we're still coming in under, first of all, in this market, I tell them, you better act like you on eBay. Okay, this is an eBay market. The asking price is the starting bid, baby. Yes, Mavis, you wanted to say something.
Oh yes, thank you so much for that. I am a new agent. I'm fairly new. I literally just started in January, so that is my first client. And it has been very challenging because I bought a house in August, so I know how challenging it was. I went through several offers even, and I was bidding and paying on my closing costs and going like 20,000-30,000 above what they were asking, and I still wasn't getting it. So it's just like, even giving the same advice to them and showing them properties, and I'm like, and they will look at the property and they'll say, well, because this and this and this needs to be updated, I think the house should be priced lower. And I will pull up the comps. I will just be like, this, I don't think, and I pretty much say, well, it's not priced based on cosmetics. They're not, the paint color is not really, it's a preference of yours. And whether the countertops are brand new, but you don't like the color, that's kind of a preference. But she also has like, a brother who's also an agent, and I think in Jersey. So that also that doesn't help, because he will say, okay, I think this house should be priced lower, simply because you have to do work when you get in there. And I think that's really making it very challenging. And the fact that I'm new also in the field, it even adds to the challenge as well. So it's been quite a challenge, just trying to kind of get the client to just be like, okay, this is what I can afford, and this is what my offer is going to be. So that has definitely been a challenge. So,
Yeah.
and it's with every property that she sees, this should be priced lower, every single property. Do you think they'll come down on this price? This, let me offer this. And I'm just like, oh, this is not gonna go well. And each one of them, it's not.
Yeah.
So
Okay. First of all, thank you for being bold and sharing that. Is she a first-time home buyer?
yes, she is.
Okay. Yep. That's part of the problem too. So Mavis, let me ask you this. Did you conduct a home buyer consultation with this client?
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about what are some of the things that you all discussed around pricing?
So we discussed like pretty much what she wanted to like what she wanted her monthly mortgages to be, what her preference when it came to the area, what she's paying currently in the apartment that she's in,
Good.
and pretty much was the max that she would want to pay. That way I could really tailor the area that she not show her any properties that was above what she qualified for loan wise, and what she's
Good.
willing to pay.
Mhm.
And then pretty much asked in regards to the areas that she would want to stay in. She wants to be close to the DC area. So I asked her all that. And then she also has a preference of also wanting to have a brand new home as well. So that's like one of the preferences, that she has a brand new home. And that I've kind of talked her down from that, because it's been quite obvious that that's not something that she can afford. So that we've kind of gotten away from that.
And how long have you been working with her?
About a month now.
And how many offers have you written for her?
Just one.
Oh,
Because
okay.
every other I asked, because every property we see is, will the price come down? Will they take down the price? So she doesn't have, I know she's never going to go give them the asking price, or even go above that.
So how is this working out for you as a business owner? Is this pleasant for you? Is this enjoyable for you? Is it profitable for you to continue to work with her?
It's not very pleasant. And I think the only challenge here is that she's a close friend of mine. So that has been like the challenge for me to say, you know what, because it's like I'm telling you every single thing that, because you're my friend, and I want to be very honest and open with you, and like I'll be with everybody else. But I think that also it's kind of a hindrance, really, at this point.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing. And Donna raised her hand. Donna, I'm going to let you speak. What I want to share, Mavis, is I do empathize with the position you're in. I too, being in the area that I'm in, tend to end up representing people that are not really technically a friend, but people that I go to church with. And there are some thin lines there. We want to help our friends. The reality is it's still a business. So at some point we do have to make a business decision that honestly would benefit them as well, because maybe she just needs to hear it from someone else. And she'll be successful with them. Maybe you can refer it out. I'd hate to put another agent in that situation. Some people, I just don't refer them out. I just cut my ties. But I think at some point, a conversation has to be had within yourself, that self-talk of how long do I want to continue this? Because I see a pattern. With my friend. How long do I want to continue to be in this situation? And what will it do to our relationship the more I continue to feel discontent with this unpleasant experience? And so I think saving the relationship probably is best served with the truth of, putting your business hat on and shifting the friend hat to a different shelf and saying, you know what, I can't help you. I don't have the resources to help you the way that you're looking for me to help you. So therefore, this is not going to work for me. But I tell you what, and maybe there's an agent in your office that's like super seasoned that would be willing to take that on. I don't know, because that's a tough scenario. Like I probably would not take that referral, right? Because I just know that I'm not going to get anywhere, you know? So, but at the end of the day, you don't want to, how you start, the flow of your business is just how it's going to flow. And so
Yeah.
I know that because I was on that trajectory in my first few months as well. And my mentor kept saying to me, and I thought she was being harsh and mean, but she was right. Like, why are you showing houses 8 o'clock at night? Why are you doing this for that? What? No, you need to set a boundary. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is my client, you know? But thank you for sharing. And I hope what I've shared was helpful. And Donna, it sounds like you would like to share something as well. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you so that you can go right ahead.
Okay, so you mentioned something that rang my bell, and it was that she has a relative that is an agent in another state. And are you paying him a referral fee? Did he?
No, I have never
No,
even
okay.
spoken to him.
So if he is playing into her mindset for pricing and what have you, he's in a whole different market.
Right.
So rather than discount him, what I might do would be to say, you know, to ask for his number since he's advising her, and talk to him, offer him a referral fee, and see if you can get him on the right plane so that he can help you with her understand things, because she obviously trusts him a lot, rather than having him hinder you because he's not aware of your market.
Mm-hmm. I love that. High
Thank
five.
you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Five. And that's what I
Thank
was
you very much. Yes.
completely different market. Even though, quite honestly, everywhere everything's selling for top dollar. I don't know what market he's in where it's not, but everything's selling for top dollar. So I don't know. But I love that advice that Donna just gave you. I think that's so stellar. And thank you for your contribution, Donna. Let's see. Is it Corel? You can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hi. So I just want to say that I resonated with you. Oh my God, it's like not a good area. I'm in my kitchen.
We can hear you well.
Okay. So I just want to say that I felt a lot of inspiration from you when you said that you were in a homeless shelter and you're where you are like right now. You know what I mean? Like I was in a homeless shelter.
Wow.
I came here from Puerto Rico with my mother, and we had to live in women's battered women's shelter. And so you made me feel like if you can do it, I can do it.
That's right.
And I just wanna I felt very emotional about that.
That's awesome.
And I wanna thank you. By the way, I don't know if this goes away, this little hand thing. This goes away. But I
no.
feel like it's been there since like yesterday.
You have to put it down yourself.
Okay.
That is so hilarious. No, thank you for sharing that, Corel. And you're such a trooper. Look at where you are today and how you and your mom, navigated through that tough terrain of transitioning from, what was home to you to someplace new. And now you've launched your own real estate business, and you're going to make it. You're going to so do this, and you're going to help your community, and it's going to be super, super awesome. Gary Keller, someone quoted him as saying, you are 5 years away from where you want to be. And gosh, when I read that quote, a tear just came to my eye. It's been 5 years I've been in real estate. When I started, I did not think I could succeed in this business.
No, but the fact that you've only been in it like for 5 years or something, I'm like, wow, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Can, girl.
I've been so I just haven't been confident in myself as far as, thinking that it's gonna happen, but hearing your story, I'm very positive. Like,
Let's go. Yes. That's why these rooms are so important, right? And thanks for being transparent. These rooms are so important. When I say rooms, these classes and getting into culture with our company, you hear that, there's other people just like you. We're all just regular people coming from different walks of lives. And many of us have the same struggles, the confidence thing. Real estate school doesn't prepare you to come into this business and make 100 calls a week, right? There's no houses. There's no houses.
Like honest person in the world. I have a hard time not being honest because I feel guilty if I'm not keeping it real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really felt at home in a weird way after you said your story.
That's powerful.
And I appreciate you so much for that because it's a testament to anybody that thinks that just because they came from the bottom up, like they can't be more up. You know what I mean? Like their truth doesn't matter. Their truth does matter.
I love that.
And for us to be able to tell other people, like, we've been through some stuff. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate you for making me feel more comfortable about speaking my truth.
I love it. I love it. I'm grateful for what you've just shared. I'm grateful that it empowered you. And I want to see you a year from now. I'm going to see you a year from now doing some really big things in this business, girl. That's so awesome. And I think that that's what's helpful to us when we're just starting out or when we hit a rough patch in this real estate business, particularly this market has been like, all transparency, like I've been diagnosed with gastritis and I've had some anxiety, like, you're writing all these offers. When I go to sleep at night, like my client situation is running through my brain. Multiple clients of mine waiting for an answer from a seller. It's running through my brain. I can't sleep. So I'm grateful that we get to be transparent with each other and that we get to feed off of each other's positivity and inspiration. And I love it. What market center are you with, Corral? And I want to stay in touch with you. I'm going to put my number in the chat.
I am with Keller Williams Legacy, and they have been nothing but the most supportive to me, and I'm just so happy.
I love it. Now remind me, Legacy, that's in Towson, right?
Like I never went to around like any other places to interview as far as like where I wanted to join. Brandon Martinez from Keller Williams Legacy.
Yeah.
I don't know, somehow convinced me, and I don't know. Here I am.
Awesome. Well, you're in the right place with the right people, girl. Thank you for sharing. All right. So, and I put my number in the chat for you. Make sure you text me. All right. So, this is awesome. This is awesome. I'm having a ball, and I knew that I would. I knew that I would. So now, one of the things that I want to make sure that I share with you, call the listing agent, is we talked about asking about the status of offers and why we do that. And then, but we also want to start building rapport with the listing agent. The listing agent is your BFF. And even if they're mean and snarky, they're still your BFF, and we got to will ourselves through it. This might be an agent that you worked with before that you were like, oh my God, not again. I'm not even showing that listing. Okay. We're all in our living rooms in our family, living room here, KW Zoom room. We can be honest. But for the sake of the client, I have to will myself through that and be kind and sweet. And why? Because I want to show the listing agent I'm a team player. That's number one, that you're going to have a great experience with me if your client accepts my client's offer. I'm a team player. I communicate well. So when I'm asking how many offers do you have and how many do you have coming, I'm bigging up my client at that time. I am putting my client on a pedestal. I'm like, my client has strong credit, strong reserves, if that in fact is true. No puffery here. My client has strong credit, strong reserves, and I choose my circle very wisely, folks. So I recommend that if you are on here from 0 to 1 year, get with your coaches, your mentors in your market center and ask them who's the best of the best. Maybe you have an in-house lender that's the best of the best, an in-house title company that's the best of the best. Who do people use? Who are the top agents? Get with them, do some interviews with them. Who do the top agents use for home inspectors? Okay, you got to have all those things lined up. Okay, so I got all my people lined up. But when I'm talking to the listing agent, I'm like, oh, and I use Aaron Maddie from, so-and-so mortgage company. And they like, find out it's a lender that people really like because that lender is reputable and honest and on point. I'm name dropping. Okay, because again, as the buyer's representative, you got to think like the listing agent. They're protecting their seller client. I don't want to name drop too much, but I'm gonna just say some national banks, I know if I see come across my seller's desk, I'm telling the seller, absolutely not. If this is the best offer, then okay, but I'm going to negotiate that buyer use a different bank. Yes, I will. Because one bank had the buyer in a daggone hotel, took us 60 days to close. They couldn't close out. What in the world? You're a national bank. Are you serious right now? So getting on the listing agent's friend list is a wise thing to do, okay? All right, I want to also ask questions of the listing agent about the seller's needs. Now I know I'm really getting ahead of myself because I have a whole PowerPoint that I created that I just went over with my team. So I'm going to share that with you tonight, okay? All right, so now we're going to review what the offer process looks like, okay? We've shown the house, we've gotten our questions answered. We know that we're about to be in a multiple offer situation. They've got 2 offers in hand and 10 coming. All right, so let's talk about what the process now looks like. Now that we're getting ready to write an offer, what could this actually look like for the buyer? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Kalani. I did not mean to ask you to unmute. Clicking buttons here, live television. All right, let's put this on full screen. Okay, so a couple of different steps here. Uh-oh, that's not what I wanted. A couple of different steps here. Trying to change the view for you. Give me a minute. Live television, folks, bear with me. I don't know how to change it. So as long as you can see it, can everybody see that? Okay. So here's what this can look like. Buyer makes an offer. Seller responds in one of 3 ways, okay? Based on how the seller responds determines what action steps we take next to explain to our buyers as well. So number 1, the seller could counter the offer. Now, if the seller counters the offer, we learn in real estate school that is a whole new offer now. I mean, the terms have been kind of wiped out, whether it's the term of the inspections, whether it's the term of the settlement date, or the term of the purchase price, or the whatever. The seller has countered something. So a lot of times my clients want to know, let me back up a slight bit. After I submit the offer, my clients are like, so what's next? So I say this. So what's next is the seller can counter the offer, and you would have an opportunity to either accept his counter or decline it and withdraw your offer. They want to know, how long does it take the seller to respond? Oh my gosh, I don't know what states you guys are in. Well, we're the Maryland, DC region, so you're in Maryland, DC. But there's no time limit for the seller to respond. I wish there was. I've had people sit on offers for 7 days, 8 days. One lady sat on all the offers because she wanted a conventional buyer. All the offers she had were FHA. So I said to the listing agent, why do y'all have FHA? I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but why then do you have FHA in the MLS? Okay, if your client wants conventional offers, then please don't put FHA in that. Are you serious? My client is giving you a $10,000 deposit. We've gone 20 grand over the asking price. What is there to hold on to? So I educate the clients on what to expect. It's important to do that to give your clients a pleasant experience. All through the way, we need to be educating them on what to expect. Okay, so if there's a counter, now we enter into negotiations, okay? And you don't want to make decisions for the client without discussing with the client. You don't want to say to the listing agent, well, my client can go higher than that, unless you have the client's permission. There's one client I've had her for 3 years, long story, can't tell it today, but we were in that whole escalation thing, and the escalation got real close, and the listing agent called me, and I felt like I was at an auction. She's like, you know, you were neck and neck with this other person, so how much higher does your client want to go? I said $500. She was like, okay, you got it. I said, okay, sold. You know, but I knew that I had that freedom from my client. We discussed that ahead of time. It is crucial that we not make decisions for them without including them. We are simply the advisor. We speak on their behalf. Okay. All right. Okay. So they could accept the offer. Now, if they accept the offer, there's nothing else to do. Yay, everybody's got to sign. I don't want to say there's nothing else to do, but there's another class on contract to close. So there are things to do, and you'll learn that in the next class on the 9th about contract to close. But they can accept the offer, and yay, we move to the next phase. Or the client can reject the offer. Now, you as the buyer's agent have a couple of choices. You can say, well, can I have in writing that the seller rejected the offer? Meaning that the seller can write at the top of the offer, rejected, and then the date, and then sign. Not many people do that. And I've had people do that with me because they didn't, mostly investors, because they didn't trust that their offer was really presented. And okay, Hakuna Matata, it's okay. I mean, whatever's going to make them happy. I presented the offer, the seller rejected it. You lowballed him. Sellers don't like lowball offers. Sellers don't like lowball offers. And if they accept a lowball offer, you can bet your bottom dollar they're not fixing nothing. They're going to make the journey so difficult for the buyer from that point on. Your buyer better not ask them for nothing else. Okay. That's in a different market, different conversation. So those are the things that we can educate our clients about that can happen after an offer is submitted. Now, when an offer is rejected, folks, please do not text your client. Why is that important? There's a lot of psychology involved in real estate. I'm so glad that I have a degree in counseling, but you don't need a degree in counseling for this, okay? We just have to be a little bit more thoughtful in the steps we take. First, all of us have different personalities. So your personality may be different from the buyer, maybe like no big deal, text them, it didn't get accepted, but you have to feel out and know your client. And that first-time home buyers, real sensitive, that's not something I want them to know in a text. I want them to hear my voice. I want them to hear my tone, especially in this market where this may be the 5th offer we've written and they're on the verge of walking away from you. Their family's telling them you have a crappy realtor. They've the 5th offer. You should have been had your house. You don't know what their own little voice is telling them. So I had a client, we lost out on a really, really nice house that she loved it so much. And it was stressful writing that offer for her. The seller sat on it for like 5 days. So it was really rough, and we lost out. And I felt her, I felt that weight. And unfortunately, I found out 9 p.m. at night. Well, I won't say I found out, but they emailed me 9 p.m. at night. I'm not checking my email that time of night. I have strict boundaries, but she was still up and they changed the status in the MLS that night. So she emailed me in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning, like, I guess I didn't get the house, you know? So that's the only time that my client found out before I could tell her. But you better believe I texted her and said, let's talk when you get off work. I called her and we had a little powwow. We had a little girl talk, little sister girl talk. I make my clients feel like I'm their sister, their friend, whatever I can do to make them feel comfortable. But I shared my story with her. Look, I just experienced this. I was in this same market. I just bought a house in November. Like, I know what you're feeling, but you can't give up. Like, you're almost there. And, you know, I'm a Christian, so many of my clients are, so I talk their language. I'm like, God's not going to shut a door on you that's meant for you to walk through. So that's what but however you encourage your clients and however they receive it, I don't think it's appropriate to tell them in a text or an email, your offer didn't get accepted. That's just not how I run my business. And it's my strongest recommendation that you consider. I mean, we're getting paid a lot of money. At the end of the day, when you finally get them under contract and get them to the closing table, you're going to have a nice fat check. So it's worth just making that phone call and really just being a step above and exceeding expectations and just let them hear your voice. because, you know, they've opened themselves up to us. And for many of them, we're the only hope that they got, you know? So that's my position on that. All right. So my next point. So this is what the client can expect, okay? So preparing to write the offer, we want to do a comparative market analysis, right? They like the house, they fell in love with it. We know what offers are there sitting on the table, whatever. Now we want to do a comparative market analysis. That's very important. You can do that from HomeSnap. HomeSnap is the app version of Bright. If you don't already have it, oh my God, it's going to save your life. When you're out looking at properties, it's really hard looking at Bright on a cell phone. And you do not want to be using Zillow. I'm sorry, but don't do that. Okay, don't use Zillow, Realtor.com, none of those people, okay? Because sometimes they're not accurate. We need to use our stuff. So HomeSnap, download that app. Donna's like, yes, that's right. Donna has been in my cheerleading corner the whole time. Thank you, Donna. Okay, let's not do that. Let's support our own, and you pay for Bright. So, you know, HomeSnap is an offshoot of Bright, and it's no extra charge to you. But what are you going to see in that? You're going to see accurate information about the facts about the property. So if I'm out looking at the property with my client, I have it pulled up on HomeSnap. Nobody's printing anything anymore. I'm putting it in a pretty folder like we used to. Here's the properties we're seeing today. We don't have time to do that. So I've got HomeSnap pulled up, and I can see comps on HomeSnap as well, okay? So a quick snapshot, I can see comps on the HomeSnap, and guess what? I can send my clients a comp analysis right from HomeSnap on my phone. HomeSnap is the best thing since sliced bread, okay? Now, to some degree, HomeSnap can't always replace you going into Bright, because if the comps look a little wacky, then I'm going to get home and get on my computer and go in Bright and pull more comps. Okay. But why is that important? Because A, I want to justify what I'm advising them to offer. B, I want to justify why they should offer what they should offer. And C, what if you have a client that is really risky? I had a client that was like, yeah, 30 grand over. I'm like, oh, it may not appraise for that. So we don't want to go too far over the price. Are you going to pay out of pocket? And he was a veteran, so that wasn't going to happen because the VA doesn't allow that. Okay, so so I do comp analysis to make sure we're not overbidding as well. You overbid, you can lose the offer that way, because the listing agent is going to say, well, that's not going to appraise, and they don't have no appraisal gap waiver, so shoot. Okay, I see some people in the chat. So glad you mentioned that. It's the app version of Bright. I thought I had to learn another system. I know, Tia, right? Best thing since sliced bread, huh, Martin? Okay, so we're doing a CMA. Now, you can also use the RPR for your CMAs. I think it's the Realtors Property Resource. You're subscribed to that as well through your dues, so use it. Like if you're having a hard time finding comps, the RPR can tell you what their strongest estimate of the value is and a range. And if you see like 4 to 5 stars, then that's pretty accurate. If you see like 1 star, it's not really accurate, and we just gonna have to do our best judgment, or call in your broker or call in your mentor and say, help me out here. I want to make sure I'm getting the right price for my client. Get the lender to run numbers for you. I don't know what, you know, I don't think it matters the price point when it comes to this thing here. Like I have clients shopping in pretty elaborate budgets, but they still want to know what the numbers are. And I think that's important, because the last thing you want is to get 50% through the deal and your client's like, oh my God, that's what my payment is going to be, and they back out. I've never had a client back out for that reason, but I've heard stories like that. So that doesn't happen to my folks, because guess what we're going to do? We're going to text the lender. And sidebar, please use lenders that respond to your messages and calls and texts on nights and weekends. Okay, we're not getting any offers in if we're not using lenders that respond nights and weekends. Okay, because it's just not going to happen. The seller is not going to wait for you to submit your offer on Monday when Jane Doe comes into the office at 9 a.m. Monday. Not going to happen. All right. So I'm texting the lender. I'm like, hey, can you run numbers for me on 123 Main Street? I'm getting ready to write an offer. I want to make sure my client knows what the down payment is going to be. what the cash to close is going to be, what the payment is going to be, so that I have their okay to write this offer. There's nothing like spending an hour writing an offer, an hour going through it, and it's 9:30 and you get a text, never mind, don't submit that offer, that payment is going to be too high for me. No. So we want to know that ahead of time for some of our clients who are very cautious about that. And you have some clients that don't care, they have the money, no big deal, okay? Okay, let's see here. Okay, talked about emotions running really high. Sellers' emotions are running high. The buyer's emotions are running high. Very emotional roller coaster. Sidebar and commercial, nothing like that, honey. So if you want to get into the part of the industry where nobody's emotions are a part of the deal, do commercial. Commercial is super easy and no one has their feelings on their shoulders at all. It's super amazing. All right, let's get into some of my slides now, shall we? I'm going to share with you how to write an offer. And it's based on, I'm going to give credit to the Matt Feddick team. Matt Feddick is my OP for the market center that I'm a part of on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And what I've done is I've combined some things that I have done over the past few years that have worked for me, and some of the things that I learned in, I can't remember his name, please forgive me, because he didn't put his name on the handout that he gave us, but he's on my OP's team and he's one of the top buyer agents on his team. So some of the things I'm going to share with you are from a workshop I attended with him. So I want to give him credit in advance. And some of the things are just stuff I've implemented in my business over the 5 years. Okay. Anybody have a question before I get into the slide? A comment? Go ahead and unmute yourself. I'm going to get this up on the screen real quick. View slideshow. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, let me watch my time. All right, because I want to end on time and respect your time. Okay, so here we go. This is mine. So I'm going off script now. I hope KW is okay with me going off script. All right. So my
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can we
Yes.
get a copy of this? Can we get a copy of your PowerPoint?
Maybe.
Please.
Sure, why not? Sure, why not? We're in the business of sharing and caring, and I'm a 3 times bold graduate, so we believe in coming from contribution.
Thank
And
you,
there's enough green grass for all of us to eat from, okay? So just remember, make sure I get your email, or matter of fact, I have all your emails from the people that are running the Ignite, and so I'll just send it to them and they can send it out. Is that good?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome sauce, my pleasure. Okay, so here we go. How to write strong offers for your buyer clients. So some of this I have already said, okay, so bear with me. But number 1, be kind to the listing agent even when it's hard. The listing agent is your friend. Fact. The sellers rely on the listing agent's opinion of which offers they should select, even though honestly, it's the seller's choice. The seller's going to say, well, what do you think? Because they're going to be overwhelmed. And honestly, if you're that difficult agent, or you're that agent that uses the lender that has what I call plastic pre-approvals. I'm not going to name any names, but a plastic pre-approval to me is they talk to them over the phone. It's a pre-qual, actually. There's a difference between pre-qualification, pre-approval. I don't want to see the words pre-qual in my clients' letters. I have a loan officer that I recently cut ties with for different reasons. But when we first started working together, he would pre-approve them, but he had the words pre-qualification in his letter. I said, I need you to take that out. That is a red flag for listing agents. We don't like that word. I need my clients to know that you do have the W-2s, that you do have the 30 days of their bank statements and their income, okay? But anyway, the sellers are going to rely on the listing agent's opinion, okay? So you want to be the seller's friend. Now, even though the ethic laws say that we have to cooperate with all agents, you better believe that there's some agents that don't have good behavior. So if it is somebody they don't like, they may find a reason to encourage the client not to consider the offer. I know you don't want to hear that, but I'm trying to tell you, I guarantee you it's happening, okay? So most listing agents want to know that they're working with someone that will be a team player. Transactions take 2 weeks to 45 days long to close, and that's a long time to work with someone who's difficult. Or maybe you're not difficult, but maybe you're just not the best communicator. And in this business, everything hinges off of us communicating with each other information that we need to know, because time is of the essence. That's a legal term. And so we have to make sure we're communicating with each other in a timely manner about things that can totally derail the transaction. And I say in this business, folks, silence doesn't mean everything's okay. And in real estate, no news doesn't mean good news, okay? So show them up front that you will be a partner with them and not against them, even though you represent the buyer. Make sense? All right, we talked about asking questions ahead of time to prepare your client for the transaction. So I know that we're in a fast moving market, but those two biggest questions you definitely want to make sure you ask, okay? Now, be proactive. You might get the response from the agent, well, I have one in hand and 2 other agents said they're submitting offers. So here's what you want to say. Awesome, that's great. You don't want to be like, oh, here we go. Don't show them any, okay, that's great. When will the seller be reviewing all offers? That's important to know, people. Why? Well, because we want to meet the deadline. And you don't have control over that deadline. The seller's agent has no control over the deadline. In my first year of real estate, she wasn't a client because we didn't have a buyer's agency agreement, but I lost a potential client / customer. She was much, much seasoned. So maybe I want to put her in her 70s or 80s. She had a house that was paid off that she wanted to sell, and she wanted to buy another house in the neighborhood that was her dream neighborhood. And we saw the house in her dream neighborhood, and she stalled writing the offer. And she was like, I want my son to see the house. Well, it was 6 o'clock in the evening on a Friday. And the listing agent told me that the seller was reviewing offers 8:30 the next morning. And she was firm about that. She already had 2 offers in hand. Now, at that time, 2 offers was a lot because we weren't in a really fast moving market that we're in today. So I let the lady know that. And I felt the room. Her daughter was there, she was just getting to know me, and I felt the room, and the room felt like, oh, you're trying to pressure me, whatever. So I let it go, but I let her know, if you would like to make an offer, I would need to write it up tonight. Well, I want my son to see the crawl space. I understand that. We can have him see the crawl space, like tomorrow, but I still need to write the offer to get it in. And that just went over her head. And she was very angry with me. She ghosted me the rest of the night. And then the following week, she called me and literally said to me, I wrote you a 3-page letter about how disappointed I was in you. She said, I am a retired realtor and I was in the business 25 years and I would have sat up all night to get that deal done. And what I said to her was, you didn't give me anything to get anything done because you didn't give me the permission to write the offer. I don't have control over when the seller wants to review the offers, and neither do you. So it's important to explain that to the clients, and we have to meet the deadline, okay? What is the seller's needs regarding a closing time is one thing that I want to ask the listing agent at that time, because I'm preparing to make my offer strong. So I want to get into the head of the seller so that I can meet the seller's needs, so as long as it doesn't supersede the needs of my client. Does that make sense? I know I represent my client, but the best way for me to help my client get their house is to find out how we can meet the need of the seller in this market. Do not ever discourage your client from submitting an offer just because there will be multiple offers. I literally gained a client that way. Yep, gained a client that way. She fired her realtor because the realtor was more on the listing heavy side. I don't know how she attained this client as a buyer, but she was more on the listing heavy side. And when you're working with buyers, you're putting in time, you're going to put in mileage, you're going to put in gas, you're going to have some late nights, okay, working with buyers, okay, comes with the territory. And I guess she got tired, with that pattern. So she told the client, she said, well, they already have 5 offers, so it's not going to make sense for us to submit an offer. She told her that, yes, she did. So I gained that client. and I shifted her into new construction. So that's a different class, different story. Sometimes you got to shift your clients around when they're exhausted. Why keep them in that situation? They're exhausted. If they can qualify for new construction, move them over there. Can't say there won't always be multiple, competition in new construction, but it's a less stressful route for them to go if they're willing to up their price a little bit and they have the capital to do it. So simply ask them, meaning your client, if they would like to submit an offer. Okay, so now that you know, Jane, that there's 5 offers and 7 coming, would you still like to make an offer on the house? Yes, Alicia, I would. Okay, great. And then educate them, like I said before, that this is now the time because there's multiple offers to present our highest and best offer now. Because girl, I want you to get this house, Jane, okay? And body language says a lot, psychology. Okay, Jane, so we're gonna present our best offer the first time, okay? So I'm gonna call you tonight in about 30 minutes after I do my research, Jane, on the comparable market analysis. I'm gonna research the comps. I'm gonna talk to your lender. And then I'll call you in about 30 minutes to let you know how we should craft this offer. Is that okay? Yes, okay, wonderful. All right, let me see if I have anybody ask me anything in the chat. Oh, someone asked me something earlier about an EMD. Okay. Most buyers put down an EMD. Yep. Yes, absolutely. Okay, now let me talk to you, the agent. All right. I need you to shift your perspective in order to help your clients shift their perspective. So I want you to tell yourself, I want you to have this conversation with yourselves, my loves. This is not a bidding war. Let's not use that term. It's a negative connotation. Think about war. Think about bidding. You ever been to a car auction? It's god awful. So, and then you're like, what did you just say? Like I said I'd take it for 3,000. Did anybody hear me? And you walk away crying. I've been to a car auction. Never again. I will pay the money for the daggone car and have a pleasant experience. So we want, as much as multiple offer situations are an unpleasant experience. Let's just keep it real. It's not fun to know that you're about to compete and you can't know what you're competing against. We don't know what the other offers are and we're not allowed to tell each other. Okay, that would make it so easy, wouldn't it? This person's offering 270, this person's offering 380. Okay, that's going to make it really easy for us, but that's just not the business we're in. Okay, so let's let our clients know, no, this is not a bidding war. Okay, not a bidding war. We are competing. Okay, and I know that's uncomfortable, but let's get excited. We're going to present our best offer, and what's meant for you is meant for you. You got to cheerlead and counsel them. All right. Don't spend time speculating what other buyers offered. That's going to drive you nuts. Okay, just put your focus on presenting the best offer you can for your client. At least you can say you did everything you could to help your client get their offer accepted. All right. Highest and best means exactly that. There is not going to be another opportunity to negotiate further. Now, you don't know if the seller is going to come back and give an opportunity for highest and best either. Okay. So again, I'm going to be repetitive. Just coach the client to submit their best offer the first time. And if they're uncomfortable with a certain price, then let's use an escalation clause, and I'll talk about what that is a few slides down. Now, this is what you're going to tell your clients. It's not a bidding war. Don't spend time speculating on what the other buyers are offering. Okay, and highest and best means highest and best, Jane. Okay, because we're not going to have another opportunity to come back. Here are some do's and don'ts. Do send the contract fast. Okay, I just believe in being the first one to get my offer in. It has always worked for me. Why? I'm showing diligence. I'm showing I can get it done, and I have good work ethic, strong work ethic. Again, I'm showing the listing agent, this is what you're gonna work with. I'm gonna send back addendums on time. Hey, we're gonna close on time because I do everything on time. Okay, get it in first. One more time, get it in first. Okay. Now, of course, there's situations beyond your control. Okay, but if there's no offers and they're like, okay, today's Friday and there's no offers at 5 o'clock, and they're like, well, we're going to review our offer Sunday at 4. Don't wait till Sunday at 2 to write the offer. No, get your offer in first. Okay. Just be that person. Trust me on that one. Do everything possible to meet the deadline that the sellers do express. Okay. And I know that can be tough. And I know that's a lot of pressure. I've been that person who's had an offer submitted, and then honestly, I was the only offer at the time. This really did just happen. And then we submitted the offer. House was on the market 30 days. Can you believe that? That's a long time in this market. Submitted the offer. I'm like, yay, we came in at list price. We asked for closing help. I'm like, okay, we could do this. And then the agent was like, the person that saw the house today is going to submit an offer, and we're going to review it tomorrow at like 9 a.m. It was some crazy time. It's some crazy time. And I was on the road, and I was going to be on the road for a while. And I was like having heart palpitations. I'm like, oh my God. So great thing that I do have a good relationship with that listing agent, because I am about to tell you, like, don't debate with them about the time. I am about to tell you that. But I do want to tell you, in this scenario, I just let her know my situation. I'm like, listen, I'm going to be on the road for a long time. I'm going to do everything I can to meet that deadline. But if I can't, I'm going to send you the terms of the offer in an email. And then I will attach everything signed to you immediately as soon as I can. Will that work for you and the seller? She said, yes, it will. Boom. Okay, good. Okay. Communication is everything. So don't give up. Don't be like, well, there's no way I'm going to meet that deadline for you, so let's just not make an offer. No, we serve at the pleasure of our client. We got to do everything we can to meet the deadline. Now, if the client hems and haws and they hold you up, well, that's not on you, that's on them. But don't you hem and haw. And I keep my computer with me at all times. And we have pulled over on Route 50 and went to McDonald's and sat down and wrote an offer. Me and my husband on our way. Yeah, I'm like, wait, babe, hold up, pull over. I got to write this offer. That's the world of a buyer's agent. Okay. And call me crazy, but I love it, honey. I love it. I love it. I like spontaneity. I like pressure. It's crazy. Okay. So now do schedule an appointment ahead of time for that same day for you and the buyer to get together so that you can review the terms of the offer together, either by phone or over Zoom or in person. All right. Schedule that before you guys even pull off from the house. Okay, tonight at 6. Okay, great. All right. Do send a bulleted summary of the offer. If God forbid you're down to the wire, like I explained earlier, and life is happening and you just can't prevent it. Communicate that with the listing agent, send the terms. I mean, you know, everybody's in this situation right now, and they should understand and be amenable. Okay. And then, like I said, do everything you can to get that signed offer to them right after. Live television, bear with me. Lord have mercy, help me, Jesus, help me. Lord help me, what did I just do? These Apple computers, it's my first time using an Apple computer. Oh my gosh, sorry. Bear with me. Thank you for your patience. Everybody having fun? This is fun stuff. This is my favorite topic. Come on, help me out in the chat here. Live television. We having fun? Show me some heart.
I'm having fun.
You're keeping fun. You're keeping fun.
You have amazing
Show me
energy.
some thumbs. Thank you. I'm trying, honey. All right. Okay, here are the don'ts, guys. So don't assume that your client will have a chance to come back and negotiate. I know this sounds repetitive, but we're realtors and this is how we learn. Okay. Highest and best means just that. Don't ask the agent for more time if you can't meet the deadline. Just explain the situation, right? But don't, you know, like it's not going to happen. Let them say it. You know, they'll tell you, when you say the situation, they'll say, oh, well, the client, I mean, look, the client is my cousin. They'll wait. Okay. You know, but I wouldn't start debating with them. I've had some deadlines that were really unfair. Had a client moving from Columbia to Delaware, and they were senior citizens. Their son lived in Delaware, so I would show the houses with the son. He was a GC, so he would know whether the house was right for them or not. He knows his mom. So this one house we saw, it was super amazing. It was everything they wanted. And so I'm like, it was a coming soon. So they listed it coming soon on a Thursday night. Friday morning, it was active. I got there in an hour after they made it active. And I called the agent. I asked my 2 questions. She was annoyed with me that I asked my 2 questions. She was like, I don't even have to answer those questions. I'm like, I know, but thank you so much for answering the question anyway. I really appreciate that. She was hot with me, boy. Because sometimes I'll say, are any of the offers that you've written? Oh, did I forget to tell you that? Sometimes you may want to ask, in addition to, do you have any offers in hand? If they say yes, sometimes you may have to ask, are any of those offers that you've written? I'll tell you why you want to know that later, okay? Because some of our colleagues have bad behavior. Okay, so I called her and asked my 2 questions, and then I said, when is the seller reviewing offers? And she texted me back and was like, tonight at 6. No, tonight at 7. I had to be in Philadelphia. This is no lie. I had to be in Philadelphia by 5 o'clock for an event. It was my best friend's 50th party. You talk about like stress and unfair. Like, you guys just made this active today, this morning. That's so unfair. Like, I wanted to say that so bad. But this was a popular house. She was already annoyed with me by my questions. And I'm like, I'm gonna do everything I can to make it happen. I told the client, like, I feel stressed out just sharing this story because it was so emotional. Like, why would you make an unrealistic deadline like that? So I let the clients know, and these are older people. They're not gonna rush to do things. They like the house, but they wanted to talk to the lender, fine. It's like, okay, that's the pressure I was under. So they didn't get to talk to the lender till like 4 o'clock. I'm now checking into the hotel. I'm trying to change my clothes, put on my little diva outfit. I got the offer written up. They don't use dot loop. They don't use any technical stuff. So with their permission, I got to get the son to sign it. The son is telling me he's about to go into a 6 o'clock meeting. I'm like, oh my God, like stress all caps. Guys, we got the offer in, but it didn't get accepted. 20, I don't know, how much did we go over the asking price? I don't know, maybe they weren't comfortable climbing too much higher, but we had a $25,000 deposit. That thing sold for like 30 grand over the asking price about a month and a half later. But that was like, it was unbelievable. But I wasn't going to argue with her. I just wasn't. We were just not in that market. When it becomes a buyer's market, whenever that will be, maybe, but I wasn't going to take that chance. Okay. All right. So do not ask them for more time if you can't meet that deadline. Just do what you can and let your client know the situation you're in. And I'm going to tell you right now, our clients are our advocates too. If you got a really good, understandable client, they might just say, you know what, Alishia, never mind. I know you got a life. That's not the house that's meant for me then, because I'm not going to be able to meet that deadline either, because I want to talk to Eric Short before you submit my offer. You see? So let the clients know the situation you're in as well. You don't have to make pretend that everything's perfect, right? Because if you paint that scenario for them, you're setting the wrong expectation. Let them know we are human. We have lives too. I'm going to do everything I can for you. But this is the situation that I'm in right now that I don't have control over. How would you like me to proceed? Is what I ask my clients. How would you like me to proceed? Would you like me to still try to make this happen for you? If the answer is yes, okay, I'm gonna do everything I can to do that, okay? Don't debate with the agent, I said that. Don't ask the agent what the other offers are. They're not gonna tell you, and that may rub them the wrong way because they can't tell you.
Alishia,
Yeah, do I have a question?
on that note of don't ask the agents what the other offers are because they can't tell you, you actually had a question. I thought you're not supposed to share details of other people's offers. Please clarify. When you mentioned that you tend to ask the listing agent, are any of the offers that have been written offers that you wrote yourself?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let me tell you why that's important for me. I had a situation where, and I can't really prove it, but your gut never lies to you. I showed a property. The listing agent came because it was a unique property. He wanted to walk the lot with me. We had great conversation, but I felt something wasn't right with him, but whatever, people are people. So there was a little red flag there. I did ask him, did he have any offers? Nope, nope, nope. And the house had been on the market for a while. So my client decided he wanted to write an offer. We wrote the offer and submitted it. And here I am with my communication, okay? This guy's a broker, like he's been in the business a long time. And there are just some avenues that people choose to drive down in their business that may not be ethical or right, but it is what they do and it is what it is. So there's just things we have to deal with in this industry with some of our colleagues. So I sent the offer. I followed up with him in a text. Yes, we received it, he said, and my client is reviewing it. Okay, great. I think they had one counter and we agreed with the counter. I don't remember what it was because this was about 3 years ago. So we took whatever off the table he countered and he was like in a text, my client is signing the offer. Great. So I call my client and I will never do this again. And I haven't done it anymore. I call my client and I say, the seller is signing your offer. Yay. Okay, great. The next day, no signed offer in my email. So I text him, hey, can't even remember the guy's name. I haven't received the offer, making sure you have my email correct. And I text him my email. No response. The next day, hey, haven't received the offer yet. Is everything okay? What's going on? For the lender to meet the settlement date on the offer, we need to get this thing going. And guys, when the seller signed the offer, it was going to be ratified. There was nothing else to do, you see? The next day, and I'm called and I've called him, he's not answering his phone. He finally texts me, says, oh, we got another offer and the seller signed that one, sorry. I called my mentor. She knew who he was, small area. And my red flags were true, the things that I felt like something wasn't right with this guy. She said, Alishia, I can guarantee you that other offer was an offer that he wrote. We can't prove it, but what happens when you're the only agent in the deal, guys? Let's just, okay, common sense. What happens when you are the person that wrote the offer for the unrepresented buyer? Come on.
You get both sides.
Hello.
You double your money.
Okay. So if you're the person with the bad behavior, aren't you trying to get the offer that you make more money with signed than okay? So I don't have to have proof of that. Just the 3-day delay, that let me know it was some stuff going on. The offer came in, he wrote, however it went down. But I let him know because I'm a little smart. And I let him know ethically how I felt about that. And so because he was a broker, he threw one of those back at me, which it does say in the listing agreement, and he was right. But I don't know that that's what the seller signed in the listing agreement, but it does say in the listing agreement, do you or do you not give your agent permission to disclose when there are other offers? So he threw that back at me. I'm like, all right, you got me on that one, but I got my eye on you, buddy. I know what really happened. All right, so yes, you can ask that question. You're not asking details about the offer, family. You're simply asking, are any of the offers that you wrote? Now, here's a different scenario of how that's supposed to go if that in fact happens. Okay, different scenario, real scenario. I wrote an offer. It was a previous colleague of mine who was the listing agent. He called me. He said, Alishia, we have multiple offers. And because I am one of the ones that wrote the offer, I'm going to give all the offers to my broker. My broker will present the offers to my seller client, and my broker will call all of you or email all of you and let you know whether the offers have been accepted or rejected. That's how it's supposed to go. The information really should be disclosed if you ask me. I would disclose it. I just had a deal like that where I had multiple offers on my listing and I was one of the offers, and I let the agents know that. And I let my broker he's so cool. He was like, you could present them offers, girl. No, because I have a very difficult seller client, and she's going to be mad that I'm the only agent in the deal. So I need you to present this so that there's no funky stuff. And then B, I just don't want that feeling of anyone else feeling that I'm doing something nefarious behind the scenes. So I just like ethics and integrity. I come from a case management background where I've worked with Department of Labor and contracts with them. And I just don't like anything feeling funny and uneasy. I'd rather there just not be that scenario where people can even think something like that is going on with me. Does that make sense and help answer the question? And Donna, go ahead and unmute. Unmute yourself, Donna. There you go.
There it goes. Okay. There are two questions that you can ask under the Code of Ethics. Have you, as the listing agent, written the offer, or has someone from your brokerage written the offer? So you can ask those two questions, but that's it. And that's under the Code of Ethics. And they changed that a few years ago because there was a time when you couldn't ask it at all.
That's my cheerleader. Thank you, Donna. Yeah.
Can you just say that scenario again? I want to make sure I got it. Where
The second scenario? The second
seller was your client, but then you wrote an offer. So were you acting as like a dual agent?
Okay, great. You want some clarification, and thank you for that question.
Okay.
So yes, I have a listing and I showed the house to the unrepresented buyer. The unrepresented buyer decided they wanted to submit an offer. I did offer for the unrepresented buyer to have their own agent from my agency. They refused. They wanted me to write the offer. They were hard pressed on that. So of course, you always have to disclose that you represent the seller. I let them know that I cannot advise you on what to offer. I can only write up the offer. So you send me the terms you want in the offer in writing. I will write it up and I can explain the offer to you as we go through it, but I cannot advise you.
So you didn't give them
perform.
CMA. You couldn't give them like a comp or anything.
Well, I did give them comps. Let me watch this, Donna, watch this. I gave them comps before I knew that they wanted me to write the offer, and I'll share with you why. It's a sensitive property. It's a distressed property on the water. We already had it under contract before the contract fell through, and to protect my client from being lowballed, if ever anybody wanted to see the property and I showed it, I came with comps. Because I want them to see we do have it priced right. See, look at all these other houses, just like my client's house that closed for higher. So that's why I showed them comps, but that I already showed up with those. I didn't show them comps to help them decide what to offer after they decided they wanted to make an offer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, my cheerleader nodding her head. She's still on my team. Okay, you cannot advise them. You cannot do a CMA for them. You know, if they're unrepresented and you did not represent the seller, then yes, you could, because even for a customer, we should provide them with comps if we're going to write the offer. But no, I didn't do anything but write it up. Okay, and I made that very clear. And there hasn't been any blurred lines throughout the whole journey, and we close at the end of this month.
Okay.
But my client is very angry that I'm the only agent in it. So it's not fun. If in 5 years, that's been my dream, to be the only agent in the deal, but it comes with a price. It comes with a cost, to be honest with you, and I'll save that sob story for another day. I just can't wait till it closes and she is out of my life and I'm out of hers. That's all I can say. Okay, Kalani, did you mean to still have your hand up? Did you want to ask another question?
I just put my hand up. It's regarding what you just said. In real estate school, because I just finished that.
Cool.
We were told that if you are in a situation where you do not personally represent the seller and you have a unrepresented buyer, then technically in that situation, you are representing the seller and should still not be advising the buyer.
Okay, great question. By default, you do represent the seller, absolutely, and you don't advise them. I will still run a comp analysis for their information. Does that make sense? And I'll tell you, for me, I'm not writing an offer without a buyer representation agreement. So I didn't teach that class on how to win with buyers, but in my class, how to win with buyers, I'm not stepping out the car without a buyer's representation agreement. Okay, even if it's dated for that date, if you want me to advise you and it's only for an hour, we're gonna agree for today's date and you're gonna sign here, or else I am just gonna turn the key and show the house. I mean, I do that less and less now. When I was a new agent, I did it to build rapport, and I was hungry as a new agent, and you couldn't even get it out your mouth before I'm like out the door showing you the house. And I'm not from Maryland. I had to build a clientele. I don't do that today anymore for safety reasons, and because I don't really have to, and I want to protect my time. But if it's somebody on Zillow or Realtor.com, it's a new lead, I just really have to gauge that. But I will tell you that they know before I pull up to that house that either you have a signed buyer representation agreement with me, or if I feel like, depending on the price point, depending on your personality, I want to still try to woo you into my world, I will still show it, but I am not going to be able to advise you. So I want to park the car there. And I want to say, yes, that is true. So then now when they get to the point where they say they want to make an offer, now we are signing a buyer representation agreement first, then I'm running comps, then I'm writing the offer. Did I clarify that for you?
Yes, that is helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure. Keep me straight, honey. Keep me straight. I don't want to go to real estate jail. Okay. All right. So ask the agent what make the agent. Okay. Don't make the agent ask for things. So here's what I want to share. Please send a completed offer with 0 errors. If you write, make sure you have immaculate handwriting. Otherwise, please type it. If the agent has to ask you for documents, this, that, or the other, or you're sending it through .loop and it's multiple documents and they've got 20 offers to review, that's annoying. And it's gonna tick them off, okay? Now they don't have a right to tell the seller not to accept the offer because of that. But again, we want to present ourselves in the best light possible because we represent our buyer client, and we want to still give the impression that you're going to have a great experience with my client based on working with me. Okay, so please submit a clean, let somebody look over it for you. Make sure everything's signed in the right place, nothing missing. Page 11, okay, for those of you licensed in Maryland, page 11 is that page that people just don't want to fill out. Why? We have to fill it out. Okay, please fill it out. Put the broker's license number, put the broker's name, even if it's dual agency, fill it out. We get paid a lot of money. Fill it out. Okay, let's be, let's be people of due diligence here. All right, because there's some agents that will kick it right back to you. Okay, the seller's going to accept the offer, but before it gets ratified, I need you to do this, and you don't want that. Those listing agents that have broker licenses or they're coaches and they teach classes, and oh, honey, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. So do it right the first time and save yourself time and frustration. And also, nothing's ratified until everything is initialed and signed. So if you forgot an initial, we're shuffling paperwork back and forth. And guess what? It's not ratified. What if another offer comes in while that's happening? That can happen. It's not ratified. It's not a closed deal. Okay. So just because it's verbally accepted, another offer comes in while you're still shuffling paper back and forth because you forgot a signature, somebody forgot something. Watch out. You're going to put the buyer in a bad situation. They're going to be mad at you. Okay? because that the other offer comes in, you're back in a multiple offer situation, and the seller can be like, well, never mind. Okay. All right, so don't send offers with missing documents, missing addendas, missing initials, dates, times, illegible handwriting, broken up in separate attachments. Agents just don't like that. Don't send an offer without a pre-approval letter. I know that sounds elementary or like common knowledge, but I've seen it, okay? I've seen it as a listing agent, and we have to present it, because the state of Maryland says present all offers, whether they're complete or not. So I do want to be clear, you do have to present it, but best believe I'm saying to my client, this is really not the best offer, it's incomplete. I received offers just recently, one of them had no EMD on it and no pre-approval letter. I'm like, well, this isn't a good offer, because according to this offer, they're not giving no skin in the game. Now, maybe the listing agent was rushing. Maybe, I don't know. I did give her a chance, multiple offer with a deadline. I texted her. I'm like, hey, your client doesn't have, you don't have an EMD here. Like, is there one? You don't have a pre-approval letter. Like, I didn't have to do that, but I did out of courtesy. She must have been driving, didn't see it. Oh, well, missed the deadline. I presented it. I presented it, but I let my client know, I don't know who the lender is. I don't know if they're even approved. I have no idea, no letter. Let me tell you the circumstances under which that may happen where you submit an offer without a pre-approval. Again, it's a Saturday, best and finals due by 4 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock. You've texted the lender, you haven't heard back because he's on the beach with his family, he's in Disney, okay? He's gonna check his email, but it may be later, or his text or whatever. Again, having people in your orbit that you can rely on, that happened to me on a Saturday, but you better believe that lender had that letter in my inbox 5 minutes before the deadline. Yes, he did. And I let the agent know that he was going to do it. I said, this lender will come through with the letter. Here's my client's offer. Here's the lender, here's his phone number, here's his email if you just want to give him a call to confirm. Right now, he's out with his family, but he is going to send me this letter before the deadline. And Aaron Maddie had that in my email 5 minutes before that deadline. Yes, he did. I had already submitted the offer. But then I sent the letter, and listen, our offer got accepted. I sent the letter and I said, see how fast my lender comes through? Our offer got accepted. And I know that's why. Okay. I'm getting excited. I love it. Yes. You got to have good people in your orbit. Okay. That's really important. No one succeeds alone. And that's a fact in this business. So let me show you some examples. Okay. Let me show you some examples of what I am talking about when it comes to summarizing your offer. Okay. I think did we get to that part where I said, you should summarize the offer when you send it. If I didn't, I'm saying it now. Bear with me, because now I got 10 minutes to try to get through this. I want to show you some examples of how I've sent my offers to people, okay? All right, so here's one that was a for sale by owner. Now, for sale by owners, you really got to woo them because they don't know what they're doing, and that's a fact, okay? So here's an offer I sent to a for sale by owner. As you can see here, I'm summarizing the offer. Why? Because I know that they're not going to understand the addendums. They're not going to understand the documents. They don't know what in the world that property inspections addendum is. It's too much. That's why they needed to hire an agent. 73% of for sale by owners will end up using an agent because of this. Okay. But anyway, I summarized the offer for them. And look what I said in the beginning. Thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Hernan, for presenting such a beautifully maintained home to the open market. The Smith family loves this home and they find tremendous value in it. Because I'm asking for 3% back and closing help. Okay, so I want to get on their good side. All right. Now look what else I did. I humanized my client. And this is something I just started doing. I don't say the buyer or my buyer. I mean, they're not my property. They're not my buyer. They're my client. But I want to humanize my client to this family. I mean, to this to the seller, because sometimes people are just looking at your client as a name on a piece of paper. They don't know their story. They don't know that this family just lost a loved one abruptly, and their whole lives have been turned upside down because the family member died in the house, and now the mom and grandmom don't want to go back and live in that house. So now the whole dynamic of our home searching journey has changed, and they're still grieving. Okay, so this house made them happy. This house fits their needs. Okay, without interrupting or ruffling any feathers with fair housing, I just like to share with them that it's a good fit for them. The house is a good fit. Okay. Uh-oh, I'm sorry. My cheerleader wants to speak. Okay, hold on 1 second. Can I get through the summary and then I'll let you unmute? Is that okay? Okay. All right. So thank you for presenting this home to the market. Now I summarize the offer for them. These are the main things they need to know. Boom. What's the purchase price? I came in at the list price. The house been on the market forever. It went on and off the market, on and off the market, on and off the market because they did not hire an agent. All right. Here's the earnest money deposit. These are important terms that people just want to know from the gate. When I'm reviewing an offer with a seller, that's what I'm looking for. Loan type. I want them to know what type of loan it is. And then look what I do here. They don't know who that lender is. And I do this even with listing agents. If they're unfamiliar with the lender, then I want to tell them about the lender. This is a reputable company. I've worked with them before. I sold my client a house with this lender before. It was flawless. I think I said that here. Look, I said it was a stress-free and seamless process with this lender. You can contact him at blah, 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 blah to validate my client's credit worthiness and buying power. I didn't use that in this email. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay, credit worthiness and buying power. Okay, what else is important to them? Closing date. And then I let them know there is a contingency. I didn't use the word, but I'm letting them know they do have to sell before they can buy. Their house is already under contract, see? Inspection contingencies, yes. I let them know what they are. And then we are asking for seller contribution. Please let me know if you have any questions. Now, I can't advise them, but I want them to know realtors are friendly. See, you might want me to list your house if this falls through. All right. Okay, I'm going to show you another one. And then, oh my gosh, live television. Jesus, help me. Okay, Miss Donna, go ahead and unmute while I fix what I just did. Lord, help me.
Well, this is something new, and I can tell you, I love they call them love letters or heart letters to send with an offer to humanize it. However, there's a lot going on at the national level and the state level with regard to fair housing, that this could be considered a fair housing violation. And there is actually a bill in Annapolis right now that we're waiting and really anticipating is going to be signed in this session that will outlaw, make it against the law to write a love letter or a heart letter or humanizing statements. So your first two paragraphs would have to go. And then, but the rest of it, setting forth the details, bullet points of the details is fine, but they're not going to allow, it doesn't look like they're going to allow us to continue to write the heart letters or love letters or humanizing letters, whatever you want to call them. So be on the lookout for that. And, you know, maybe they won't, but our gurus down at the Maryland Association really feel like that law is going to pass, and it will become law in Maryland, because Maryland, our fair housing and our code of ethics are law. Not just
that.
suggestion.
Thank you for sharing that, Donna. And I'll definitely ask my broker to take a look at this and just make sure that I didn't ruffle any fair housing feathers. We talk a lot about this in our sales meetings, and we don't do love letters with clients. The buyers that I told you about on my listing wrote a love letter to my seller, and I told them I cannot give it to her. I just can't. So I did not. So I think your position is because I used the terminology, the Smith family, that could be ruffling some feathers. I think that's what I hear you saying. I definitely will run that by my broker, and I really appreciate that feedback, because we definitely don't want to be in real estate jail, and I'm very sensitive to fair housing. So thank you for that. Someone else had a question?
I was just going to say, does it mean that you can't include a cover letter, or you just can't use certain language?
Well, I believe that Donna's position is because I used the word family, and I can agree with that. So I'm going to forward this to my broker and just get his opinion. I didn't say they had children. I didn't say what kind of family they have, but maybe because I used the word family, although really I'm just saying the clients really liked your house and thank you for showing it to us, because they actually showed the house to us. They were home. Okay, they were home when we saw the house. They were very COVID cautious, put on masks, take off your shoes, only 2% people in at a time. They didn't want us to touch anything. So I knew they were going to be a little bit challenging to deal with. And they were, and we're not under contract with them anymore. So I really just wanted to make them feel comfortable with me and my clients. But I'm welcoming the feedback. And I know that any kind of, when I say humanize, let me just be clear though, that I am saying I use my client's name. The client's name is on all of the documents. So I'm less likely to say, here's my buyer client's offer. Please see attached offer from the buyer. I use the buyer's name. I say, please say, like, okay, let me just go to the next one. So this one right here. Hi, Troy. Thank you for such a speedy response to my text today. I do appreciate it. Now, this was the day I showed the house and I had a question for him and he responded right away. So I wanted to give him a compliment. Okay, so I complimented him and that's my way of building rapport with him. And then I said, attached is the offer for Miss Montgomery. I don't, for me and my business, I don't want to say the buyer anymore. I want them to know this is a person, a real person who wants to buy your home. Okay. So that's my only reason for using their name. Their name is on the contract. And then as you can see here, I've summarized the terms. And then I explained the inspection minimum, which I'm probably not going to get to that tonight, but you will have my slides. Okay, here's another one. Just showing you different examples. You can see in the subject line, I use the client's last name because if it's multiple offers, again, just being considerate, they're getting tons of offers with the address in the subject line. And I want them to please confirm for me that they did receive my client's offer. So how are they going to know that if they have a ton of different subject lines with the address? So I do include the address and the last name of my client, so that when I text them and say, hey, Holly, did you get my client's offer or Miss Parsons' offer that I sent at 9 o'clock last night? Yes, I did get your client's offer because they saw the name, okay? And then this one's pretty short and sweet. I've worked with Holly before. I know her, she reads things really quickly. She moves really fast, doesn't have a lot of time to read a whole bunch of stuff. So I made it really short and sweet. But what am I saying? I'm saying just make it simple for the listing agent. Now I want to show you an offer that I wrote where I followed directions of the listing agent. So it's important to look at all the documents in the MLS before you just start writing the offer. Make sure that the agent hasn't given you specific instructions, because sometimes they do put some kind of cover letter themselves in the notes of the listing. I'm sorry, in the documents of the listing. So in this listing, this is the one we didn't get, but in this listing, the agent had a, and I did borrow this. And by the way, I let them know I was going to. I'm like, hey, I like this. I'm going to use this, honey. They had an offer summary sheet and they wanted it filled out. So I honored that. I filled everything out. I didn't leave anything blank. You see? Okay. I want them to know, hey, girl, you good with me. Okay, see, I follow directions. Don't you want to do a deal with me? I don't say that, but I say it, okay? As a listing agent, that's important to me. I had this in my listing, probably 2 people filled it out and I was hot because now I got to go through all these pages of the offer. I have to do it anyway, I know that. But for the things that I need to know right away, it's easier for me to just look at it on the offer summary sheet, so that I can present the offers to my client through Command. If you see that feature in Command that helps you to submit offers, it is phenomenal. And all you got to do is plug and press, plug and press, plug and press. Okay. So I want what I need to do, because if I got a gazillion offers and I got 10 minutes before it's time for me to present them to the seller, I want to present them on time so everybody can get their answers on time. That's just the listing agent that I am. Okay, so follow their directions. It's really important. It's not just there to woo you, it's there because this is what they want things done to make it easy for them. Okay, and I think I have one more. Nope, I don't. That was it. Okay, so it's 8:03. Okay, 8:03. I respect your time. I'm going to stop there. I will share the slides because the rest of the slides are pretty much self-explanatory when you read them. It's not very lengthy. I went through the most lengthy parts. The other parts are just how to spruce up your offer and make it really strong, and some techniques you can use that I did get from my OP's buying agent on his team. And when I started using those techniques and tools, my offers started competing even better. Okay. Oh, thank you for the claps. Thank you. Okay. If you want to stay on, you can. I want to give people an opportunity to unmute and ask questions. If you don't have any questions, I really, really value the time that you gave me with you tonight. Donna, thank you. Everybody else, thank you for your feedback, your questions. Tia, Kalani, and I probably chopped up your name. I'm so sorry. Martin, Tia, everybody, thank you so much. I'm going to stay on for about 5 or 10 more minutes and entertain questions that I didn't get to answer for you. And I know I went kind of fast in the last few minutes. Everyone else, have a great night, and please stay in touch with me. I did put my information in the chat. Let me do it again. And I would love to stay in touch with you. I would love to be referral partners with you. I am building my referral business. I will take care of your clients. You will hear from me, and I will make sure you get your referral check on time. You will not have to chase me down, okay? All right, have a good night. And who would like to stay on and ask some questions?
Miss Alishia, I would. This is Tammy. How are you?
Oh,
Hi,
how is
so
your night?
my question for you is, so do you have to have someone like your broker or someone in the office review the offer first before you send it to the listing agent?
That's a great question. Are you new to the business, Tammy?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm new.
So,
Yeah.
yes, I would definitely strongly advise that. And I know that they would want that. Do you have a coach at all? Does your market center have productivity coaches or mentors?
They do. I just haven't signed up.
No problem. Yep, that's going to be the best investment you make in your business right now, because the real estate courses don't teach us how to navigate through the realities of the business. This is OJT, on the job training. So your coach and your mentor is really going to be a lifeline for you. And there's a lot of liability when we're new. And so my previous broker wouldn't even let me activate my license. I was hot with him, but I understood it later. He would not let me activate my license until I sat with him for about 2 to 3 weeks in his office doing a one-on-one class with him. And then I chose a mentor. Then he let me activate my license. He was very old school, but it really built me to be the agent I am today. And so, yes, I definitely recommend have your broker of record to review the contract before you send it off, or the team leader in the office, or if there is a productivity coach that you have your eye on, give her or him a try and really commit to that relationship, because it is going to help you and it's going to build you. Did that help?
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure.
Alishia?
Hi, Robert and Susanna.
Hi there.
Hey.
Hi. Yeah, I have a quick question about escalation clauses. I thought it was kind of confusing in some of those examples that you showed,
Okay.
where the offer, for example, one of the offers, say it was $215,000, and then it said escalation clause in $1,000 increments.
Oh yeah. Let me pull that up. I'll pull that back up.
But what's weird about that to me is, if you're showing the listing agent 215, and oh, by the way, I'll go up to 220, wouldn't the seller just say, oh, okay, well, I'll take the 220? I don't really get that.
They may. In an escalation situation, however, this is how it is supposed to happen. They may say that, but if you're using an escalation clause, there's specific language in the escalation clause as to how this needs to go, so that the buyer is not getting taken advantage of, okay? So let me explain that first with the escalation scenario. So in this particular scenario, we escalated, oh, this is not the one, it was this one. We escalated 1,000 above the highest. Well, here's how it's supposed to work. I can't find an example.
Okay.
But in an escalation clause, you're saying it's kind of like, you know, cards on the table and I can't see what's in your deck. So you're saying that I am willing to go X amount of dollars above your highest offer, but no higher than X. And then what's supposed to happen is the listing agent has to look at what their highest offer is. So I'm going to use just a regular number, 200. So if the highest offer is 200 and my client is saying she'll escalate 1,000 over the highest offer, but not higher than 201, my client's winning that bid. Do you understand? But now the agent has to show me page 1 of the offer that was the highest. So we can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to take the 250. No, I have to see that there was an offer that was, you know, 1,000 less than mine so that everything is fair. Does that make sense?
Yes, that helps a lot. Thank you.
My pleasure. I feel like I'm at Chick-fil-A. My pleasure. Anyone else? The reason why I said yes initially when you asked your questions, because I remember being in a situation, it wasn't an escalation situation, but I was in a situation as a listing agent where we had an offer submitted sight unseen, and the client, the buyer went higher than the asking price. But because my client, she was my best friend from college, she's a mess. She knew what the house, based on my comp analysis, could really go for. She was like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm like, you're gonna wait, but this is a good offer. No inspections. They sent the offer before the house came on the market. It was a coming soon. They didn't even get to see it. Nope, I'm gonna wait, she says. I'm like, all right, cool. So put the house on the market. We had showings. It wasn't that hot of a house. Pink tubs, blue sinks, green showers. Right? It took her forever to try to sell it before me. She had 4 other agents that couldn't sell it. So anyway, we got like one more offer. That person went 20 grand over the asking price, but I knew it wasn't going to appraise for that. So that wasn't our best offer. Highest isn't always the best. So we did not get to the part about being the seller's agent, and I do apologize for that. But just as a seller's agent, no, highest isn't always the best for your client. That's why the terminology is highest and best offer. Okay, the rest of the terms have to work for your client. And you have to explain that to the seller. I know you like that number, but if your house doesn't appraise for that, there's no appraisal gap waiver. You're gonna have to drop your price. You're gonna be upset. It's not a pleasant experience to go through that as a seller. So this is not the best offer for you. So it wasn't. So then back to offer number 1, my client continued to sit on it. And I'm like, we can't sit on this. And the buyer's agent was blowing me up. I'm like, just tell them what you want. Like, they want the house. So what do you want? So she gave me the number. She's like, I want X number. So I went back to the agent. I said, listen, like, she's wants to sign your offer, but this is the number she has in her head. Will your client be willing to go that high? She was like, yes, it's done. It was crazy seller's market. They already were above her asking price. But, you know, she knew the highest that the house could sell for. And when I present comparative market analyses to sellers, I don't give them the high price as my recommended price. Psychology, they're always going to want to price it higher than you recommend. So I give them the median price, right, from the CMA, and I'm like, so this is my recommended price, you know, and this is like, you don't want to go any higher than this, or we're going to have a problem with appraisal. They're like, well, I want to go there. I'm like, great, okay, great. That's my strategy. But anyway, that's why she was like, I want more. I'm like, okay. So, but in an escalation clause situation, that cannot happen. And thank God for the real estate commission I would recommend just taking an opportunity to go through and review the escalation clause and the language and how it's written. It's very strategic in that they have to show you what that highest offer was. They don't have to show you the whole offer, but they have to show you page 1 of the contract of sale that shows, yes, that was what that other offer was, and your client offer is 1,000 or 500 over that. Okay. All right. Who else has questions for me? Let's go. I'm still revved up. Energizer Bunny.
I have a question. So going back to what you just said about the pricing, so how do you price your houses? Is that, if that's not outside of the scope of this conversation?
Okay. It's been tough in this market. The values are all over the place. This has been a market, as Gary Keller said at Family Reunion, like none other that he's seen in his lifetime. So quite honestly, it's been tough to price the homes. I do use several resources. Number one place that I always go first is Bright. It is the dinosaur way to do a comparative market analysis, but it's the way I've been trained, and I'm just a little old school. So I will go in Bright. I look for similar square footage. You're comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Technically, you need about 3 interior comps and maybe 2 exterior comps. So what that means is if it's a subdivision, you're looking for some comparables within the subdivision. Those are the interior comps. And exterior is, maybe 3 to 5 miles outside. In my area, the area I'm moving away from, it's a little more rural. So I have to go more than 3 to 5 miles out. And you can do that in some circumstances. I have to go in like neighborhoods that may be on a different side of town just to get a good comp. Because at the end of the day, it's the comp analysis takes into consideration, would the same buyer look at this house and that house? And in my case, yes, in my area, yes, they would. They would go across town just to get what they're looking for, because across town is not far on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, okay? So that's the tools that I use. Bright has a really good class on CMAs, and I would recommend hopping in that a couple of times. Then when it gets a little funky and it's hard to price, I'll shift over to RPR. I use that as a last resort because sometimes it's not as accurate as we'd like it to be. But the Realtors Property Resource is something that we do subscribe to through, and so it's something we're already paying for, so why not use it? And as soon as you put in the property address at the very top, they are going to show you. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.